But how has the experience been being part of that party the whole few months since Parliament started?
I'm very relieved to be part of a party because I think, to be fair, parliamentary work can be quite overwhelming to someone who is new to it.
Yeah.
Right? To have that support and to have people who have gone before you and be able to share that advice.
Yeah.
It's been a huge relief. And I think people that you can bounce ideas with, right? I want to make this policy proposal. Does it sound too out there? You know, is it very, very woke, or is it, you know, like what can... So it's helpful to have people to bounce that around. And so I would say that we do that quite actively amongst the MPs, and it's been a very supportive environment.
And anything about being in Parliament that surprised you? Because we've had people come on and say, like, when they first started speaking, it wasn't what they imagined to be.
Oh, and when they say that, it's because they thought it would be more like xiong, but it was less xiong than they thought. Or is it the
I
other
know
way
one
around?
of them said they didn't think it would be that adversarial. One of the previous guests, yeah. Do you feel, have there been any revelations or epiphanies that you've had? You're like, oh, okay, it is like this.
Whether it's very adversarial, I think that one is better for, you know, third parties to say, right? Your view on both sides, and do you think that level counts as adversarial? I would say that what surprised me about Parliament was how much things are not, how can I put it, within our control, right? So for instance, we can file parliamentary questions, right? 5 per day of sitting, you file it. But I cannot control whether, one, it will be answered during the question time, because we are not the one who sequence that. And also, 2, I cannot guarantee whether it'll be answered in its entirety or at all, right? So that surprised me in that sense, where, especially when you're brought up in a school system where, you know, it's like Q&A. It's like, there's this question, how do I best answer it? I must answer parts, Yeah. But, you know, sometimes for different reasons, it is not answered in its entirety. Yeah.
I do notice something about your communication in Parliament. You always start with the Mandarin speech first and then the English. And now your Facebook post also, initially I saw, it was English, but now it's also Mandarin first, then English.
Yes.
Is there a very deliberate reason that you're doing that?
Why I use both Mandarin and English, or why I start.
Why you start with?
Why I start with Mandarin? Yeah. Okay, for the speaking part, it's quite straightforward. Get it out of the way so I don't trip. Right? If I invert it, like the recent budget speech, then my Mandarin part was 4 minutes, and then the English part was like 12 or 13 minutes. Start with English first, then I get tired, then I worry that I will, trip up. So it's better to start with that. So that's a very tactical reason. And then for my Facebook post, it's just my sense from interacting with the post is that most of my audience tend to be more Mandarin speaking, and also older seniors, right? And also on the ground, like the Tampines aunties and uncles will like tell me like, hey, I saw your post on Facebook. It's like, 为什么没有华语? So I adjust, right? If you receive feedback and it's something within my means to do it, then okay.
But do you think that's because like during the rallies during G 2025, your Mandarin speaking skills were very powerful? As well as the Hokkien. I mean, that was one thing that, I mean, I'm not a Mandarin or Hokkien speaker, but I remember people saying, hey, actually she's so fluent in Hokkien, Mandarin, English. Do you think that kind of boxed you in as like...
Boxed me in?
Yeah.
I don't feel boxed in by that. Maybe, yes, people have expectations that, you know, you can fluently express yourself in these languages. But I see it as a plus. I don't feel burdened by it.
I have to ask this because people online do talk about it. They say, oh, you know, because you're the Chinese speaker, so there's this Chinese faction within the Workers' Party.
There's so much spend time in China.
That is like different from the more Pai faction within the Workers' Party and all. Is it really divided to that extent where, based on how your expertise in speaking Chinese and all, you have different interests?
I guess my response to this would be not that I have experienced it. Yes. So, but I guess depending on, I don't know who that person who made that comment, right? Like kind of what is his or her experience and with the party, whether they're even part of the party or just someone outside looking in.
You're someone outside who, you know, commentator, political commentator.
But I guess that's his job.
That's it.
Right?
Extrapolation.
Read the tea leaves. So but not that I've experienced.
I mean, speaking about the dynamics within WP, I mean, the year started off with like, you know, the previous leader of opposition, Pritam Singh, having his title being removed. And you know, like how I know you can't speak on behalf of the party, but as a new member of WP being in Parliament, how how did that affect you in any way?
Okay. But before I respond, to clarify, he is still the leader of opposition. Just a small L, I guess. Or just without an office in Parliament. Right? We are the opposition in Parliament.
Yeah.
He's still our leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, it's like the logical leap is he's still the
do you
leader of the
think
opposition.
that perception is sometimes like, I mean, what I said, like I can see, but that's how it's been being portrayed. You think that's something that people are missing, that he's still the leader of the opposition? He's just not maybe the big L, like you say.
Yeah, I think so. I think some people are confused, right? I think when they read about the removal of that title, I have heard people on the ground who are concerned about, is he still an MP? Right? So our reassurance is always, yes, he's still an elected member of Parliament. He just no longer has that.
So also
title.
People were asking you on the ground.
We have had a few questions, but very few. I think some of the aunties uncles read the news, but they still want clarity. But I think it's great that they are curious enough to engage, right? To ask. But as you ask about how I feel about all of that happening, I don't think that has changed that has not changed my why for going to politics, right? I definitely did not expect it to be easy going to opposition politics. And I still am in it because there are things I want to say. There are things I hear that I feel should be reflected in the chamber. And so that hasn't really changed for me.
But speaking of being an opposition politician, I saw that you and some of your WP colleagues, you all went for the 𝘪cie𝗂𝗿 𝗏𝗏 exhibition, right?
Yes, we did.
And like you all made content there and all. And then you all thanked, I think National Library and MTDI for doing. Has it been... Do you feel that you're treated differently as opposition politician when you go for official events like that, and the civil servants or people working in GLCs, they see you there? Do you feel that as an opposition MP you're treated different from if you were a PAP contingent going to the exhibition?
Okay, I guess I cannot speak to that because I have never been part of a PAP contingent going to these exhibitions.
But you never felt, have you ever felt?
But I don't feel like they treat, in the sense that, okay, why we went to 𝘪cie𝗂𝗏𝗏 was also because the team at NLB wrote to us, to all the MPs actually, to say that, hey, there's this exhibition that came out, we would love it if you brought your constituents, right, to go. So I just responded and say, hey, can I bring my youth wing folks? Because I think it would be a nice experience to go through, and then we unpacked it over satay after that. And they were very game about it. They were very welcoming. So I did not feel like differential treatment, unless I guess maybe if the PAP got better treatment.
We don't know. Speculation.
I wouldn't know, right?
Speculation.